My name is Margaret. I'm 73 years old. And this morning, like every morning for the past 11 years, I set the table for two. I put out 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 cups. I fold 2 napkins. I do this even though I live alone, even though no one is coming, even though the other chair has been empty since 2014. People who visit, the few that still do, they notice. They don't say anything at first, but I see them look at the second place setting. I see the question form on their faces. Sometimes they ask gently. Sometimes they just let it sit there. I don't explain it anymore. I used to. I used to say something vague, something that would make them feel less uncomfortable. But now I just let them wonder. Because the truth is, I'm not setting the table for a guest. I'm setting it for someone who was here. Someone who sat across from me every single day for 41 years. My husband, David. He died in March of 2014. Stroke. Sudden. Gone before I could say anything that mattered. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this is about grief, about loss, about a widow who can't let go. And maybe it is, but it's more than that. It's about the version of the table I set while he was still alive. When David was here, I set the table differently. Not physically. The plates were the same, the forks, the cups. But I set it with resentment. I set it with silence. I said it like it was a chore I had to get through, one more thing on a list that never ended. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Every day, for decades. And I didn't think about it. I didn't think about what it meant to sit across from someone. I thought about what I had to do after, the dishes, the laundry, the errands. I thought about how tired I was, how much I carried, how little he noticed. David wasn't a bad man. He wasn't cruel. He didn't yell. He didn't cheat. He didn't drink. He worked. He provided. He came home. He sat at that table every single night, and I resented him for it. Not loudly, not in a way that would have made sense if you'd asked me, but quietly. In the way I answered his questions, in the way I didn't ask any of my own, in the way I cleared his plate without looking at him. We had a routine. He'd come home around 6. I'd have dinner ready by 6:30. We'd sit. He'd tell me about work. I'd half listen. He'd ask me about my day. I'd say, fine, and that was it. We'd eat in silence most nights, not the comfortable kind, the kind where you're both there but not really, the kind where you've stopped trying. I used to think that was normal. I used to think that's what marriage became after a certain point, that the spark fades, that you just coexist. I thought everyone felt like that, like they were sitting across from a stranger they'd known their whole life. But here's the thing. David tried. Not in big ways, not in ways I recognized at the time, but he tried. He'd ask me questions, little ones. How's your sister? Did the furnace guy come? You seem quiet. Everything okay? And I'd brush him off. She's fine. Yeah, he came. I'm just tired. I didn't mean to shut him out. I just didn't know how to let him in anymore. I didn't know how to sit at that table and be present, be soft, be open. I thought I had time. I thought we had years. I thought I'd feel different someday, lighter, and then maybe I'd talk to him, really talk to him. But I didn't. There was one night, I remember it clearly. It was a Tuesday, January, I think, cold. David came home late. He'd been stuck in traffic. Dinner was cold by the time we sat down. I reheated his plate without saying anything. I was annoyed, not at him exactly, just annoyed at the day, at everything. He sat down, he looked at me, and he said, "You know, Maggie, I don't think we've had a real conversation in months." I froze. I didn't know what to say, because he was right, but I didn't want to admit it. So I said, "We talk every day." And he just looked at me, not angry, just sad. He said, "Yeah, we do." And then he ate his dinner. We never brought it up again. After he died, I kept setting the table. At first it was automatic, muscle memory. I'd pull out 2 plates before I remembered. Then I'd put one back, and I'd sit there, alone, staring at the empty chair. It felt wrong, not because he was gone, but because I finally understood what I'd lost. I'd lost the chance to sit across from him and actually see him, to ask him questions, to hear his voice, to stop thinking about what came next and just be there, at the table, with him. I started setting the table for 2 again about 6 months after the funeral. I don't know why. Maybe because it made the house feel less empty. Maybe because it was my way of apologizing, of saying, "I see you now," even though it's too late. I think about the things I didn't say, the questions I didn't ask. I don't even know what his favorite memory of us was. I don't know what he thought about when he couldn't sleep. I don't know if he felt lonely sitting across from me all those years. I think he did. I think he sat there, trying, waiting for me to meet him halfway, and I just didn't. There's a specific memory that comes back to me a lot. It was our anniversary, 30-something years. I don't even remember which one. David bought flowers. He always brought flowers on our anniversary. Daisies. He put them on the table, and I said, "You didn't have to do that." Not in a grateful way, in a dismissive way, like it was a waste. He didn't say anything. He just sat down, and we ate. I threw the flowers away 3 days later. I didn't even put them in water. I wish I could go back to that moment. I wish I could take the flowers, smell them, look at him, and say thank you. Not just for the flowers, for showing up, for trying, for sitting across from me year after year, even when I made it hard. But I can't. The table sits in the same spot it always has, by the window. The chairs haven't moved. Every morning I set 2 places, and every morning I sit in my chair, and I look at his, and I imagine what I would say if he were here. I imagine asking him about his day, really asking, not when I'm thinking about something else. I imagine telling him I'm sorry for all the silence, for all the times I was there but not really there. I imagine just sitting with him, no words, just presence, just the 2 of us at the table, together. People think I set the table because I can't let go, and maybe that's part of it, but it's more than that. I set the table because I finally understood what it meant. It wasn't just about food, it was about time. Time we had, time I wasted, time I can't get back. David's been gone for 11 years, and I've had more conversations with him at this table since he died than I did in the last decade of his life. I talk to him now, out loud. I tell him my day. I ask him questions. I say the things I should have said. And I know he's not here. I know the chair is empty. But I set the table anyway, because it's the only way I know how to say I'm sorry. The only way I know how to honor what we had and what I didn't see until it was gone. If you're still here, still listening, thank you. I don't know why I needed to say all this. Maybe because I'm running out of time to say it. Maybe because I hope someone hears it and doesn't wait to look across the table, to ask the question, to be there, really be there. I still set the table for two, and I will until I can't anymore, because it's the least I can do. For all the mornings I didn't.